There's been a lot of attention recently to President Obama's comments in last January about regional terrorist groups being like JV teams in relation to ISIL seizing of Fallujah. I'm sure you followed that back and forth. And Mr. Taylor, General Taylor and Mr. Rasmussen, I'm not going to ask you if you shared that assessment at the time, because the President indicated that was an assessment that he had. But I will say, given all the bloodshed and resources expended in the two attempts to take Fallujah in 2004, and I was privileged to go there at one point in 2004, 2005 time period, and those years of toil by our Marines and soldiers in Anbar that followed to make it a peaceful place, those comments are particularly disconcerting. As you all know, we took serious losses. In one 6-month period in 2005, Ohio's Reserve Marine Infantry Battalion lost 46 Marines. 22 were killed from one rifle company in Columbus. So obviously this struggle affects a lot of our communities, including back home in Ohio. I would ask you, Mr. Rasmussen, in 2013, did the intelligence community identify that al-Qaeda-associated groups in Syria had expressed interest in external operations?
Yes, and we can talk about that more in closed session, but yes.
Yeah. In 2013, did the intelligence community assess that a threat existed to Western Europe and the homeland from the flow of foreign fighters to and from Syria and Iraq?
Absolutely.
Do you assess that the Iraqi security forces, who early this year have been operating without U.S. troops by their side for 2 years, took any successful actions to wrest control of Fallujah from ISIL after they seized it in January of 2014, earlier this year?
I'd like to get an answer for the record from you on that, because I'm certainly aware of Iraqi security force counterterrorism actions, but I want to be specifically responsive.
Well, let me ask a more general question. Were they successful in wresting control back?
Not in wresting control back of the areas you described, as I understand it.
You know, I just think, again, we should learn some lessons from this. And finally, I say, do you assess that over the last 2 years that ISIL exploited access to fighters and resources in Syria, as well as inconsistent counterterrorism operations or pressure from the Iraqis in Iraq to escalate their operations?
Certainly true that they have escalated their operations and they have taken advantage of the lack of a real border between Iraq and Syria, which has allowed them to move resources back and forth to escape counterterrorism pressure, whether it comes from the Iraqi security forces or other elements inside Syria who are fighting.
Well, I think your answers to these questions are helpful in terms of us understanding what we should be doing in Iraq, but also, again, looking forward to Afghanistan, being sure that we are prepared to take the steps to avoid a repeat of this.